In this expert series video, we're going to talk about how to build a cycle menu that works for your school nutrition program. When it's done right, a cycle menu becomes a powerful tool that supports your program and keeps your students excited about what's on the menu. In a previous video, I talked about understanding cycle menus, and in that video, I covered what a cycle menu is and how it can benefit your program. So if you haven't watched that video yet, make sure you head over to our channel and check it out. Before we get started, I wanted to introduce myself. My name's Jenna. I'm the marketing coordinator here at Healthy Pro. Before working at Healthy Pro, I was a menu planner for my local school district. My goal today is to share a few simple steps that have helped me when I was a menu planner and that you can use to create a cycle menu that will support your program. All right, let's get started. The first step to building a cycle menu is starting with a strong foundation. So we want to set goals and parameters for our menu. You want to think about the size of your district, the number of students you're serving, and you also want to consider things like staffing, equipment, storage space, delivery schedules, and your budget. These details will help you figure out what kind of menu will actually work for your program. After taking these things into consideration, you want to decide how long you want your cycle menu to be. In my experience, I've typically seen smaller districts with fewer students and staff choose a shorter cycle, whereas a larger district serving thousands of students with more resources may opt for a longer cycle menu. Next, you want to ask yourself a few questions. A few that I used to ask myself were, what am I trying to achieve? Maybe you're hoping to boost participation, maybe you want to reduce waste, cut costs, or maybe you just want to look for ways to improve your operations for your team. So defining a clear goal helps give your cycle menu direction and helps you measure success over time. Next, we want to collect data and feedback. So we want to start by reviewing old menus and production records to see what has previously worked for your program and what didn't. Data will help you see which meals were student favorites and which meals weren't as popular. If you use Healthy Pro, you can easily find these insights right on your Business Insights dashboard. And collecting feedback is just as important as collecting the data. So I suggest using things like surveys or doing taste tests to figure out what works. Or you can even have a quick conversation in the cafeteria with your students or in the kitchen with your staff to figure out what has worked best in the past. Once you've collected the data and the feedback, it's time to build your cycle menu. I always started by adding the student favorites to my menu and making sure that the popular items were spread throughout the cycle. Next, you want to add variety. It's important to space out similar flavors and rotate proteins and grains so that the students aren't seeing the same things over and over again. For example, you don't want to put chicken on the menu 3 days in a row because students would probably experience menu fatigue. You also wouldn't want to serve pork nachos and beef tacos in the same week throughout the cycle because you want to space these items out. You could always add a few options in between, such as a yogurt parfait, a hummus platter, or things like that as a way to incorporate more variety. You also want to think about the sides that you're pairing with your entrees to make sure that they complement each other. I suggest offering different styles of fruits and vegetables, such as fresh, local, frozen, and canned as a simple way to add choices for students while still meeting your weekly minimums and your vegetable subgroup requirements. You also want to consider the colors of the foods on the tray. Students eat with their eyes, so by incorporating a rainbow of colors, you're able to catch students' attention. Next, you want to balance your budget. Make sure to incorporate your USDA foods to offset the higher cost items on your cycle menu. You could also incorporate seasonal fruits and vegetables to help lower some of those costs while still adding variety to your menu at the same time. And last, you want to make sure your menu's fun. By planning theme days, highlighting featured items or local produce, or even something as simple as a sandwich of the week can help make a big difference in how students engage with your menus. Before the menu's finalized, we need to consider our staffing and logistics. So think about your staff's skill set, your prep and service time, your equipment, your delivery schedules, and your storage space. I always say that meals like frozen pizza, hot dogs, chicken nuggets are perfect for Mondays, Fridays, or delivery days because they require less prep. Whereas a scratch cooked meal would probably fit better during the middle of the week so that your staff has more time to prep for it. Also, think about the equipment you have in your kitchen. One example I always like to think about is if you're planning to have chicken nuggets and french fries on the same day. These items need to be cooked in the oven at the same time, so it's important to think about your oven space and if your team will be able to cook and hold these items prior to service. If not, you'll probably need to adjust your menu. Maybe you could scratch the french fries and add a frozen or a fresh vegetable instead of serving the fries. Or you could even swap the entree from chicken nuggets to something like a hot dog that requires a steamer to cook. And as for your delivery days, you want to plan your menu items that need minimal prep because putting away orders takes time away from your prep and cook. Also, you want to check when your fresh produce will be delivered so you don't have to hold it in your inventory for a long time and risk lower quality. Now that the menu's built, you want to check for USDA compliance. You want to plan with the end in mind, which means reviewing meal pattern requirements before planning your menus. That way you have an idea of what you need to plan for each day of the week. When reviewing your menu, I always like to ask myself a few questions. So things like, does each meal meet calorie ranges for this specific grade level? Are all components included each day? Are vegetable subgroups accounted for? Are 80% of grains that are offered weekly whole grain rich? Are your sodium levels, saturated fat, and added sugar within the weekly limits? And just another tip, using standardized recipes to help make sure that your menu is compliant is key. And if you use a USDA approved menu planning software like Healthy Pro, it makes it easier to stay compliant with built-in compliance standards. A well-built cycle menu brings everything together. This includes things such as student favorites, labor, equipment, delivery schedules, budget, storage, and your USDA requirements. When it all works together, your menu becomes more than a plan. It becomes a tool that drives your business and keeps your students coming back for the meals that they love. To wrap up, I just wanted to highlight a few key takeaways from this video. You want to set clear goals to help shape your menu from the start, whether that's boosting participation, managing costs, or streamlining your operations. Also, use your data and your student feedback to help guide your decisions and help you build a menu that reflects students' preferences and things that they actually enjoy. Next, designing a balanced framework helps mix student favorites with variety while still staying within your budget. Also, making sure to plan with your team and kitchen in mind. So making sure that the menu fits your staff's capacity, as well as your equipment, storage, and your delivery schedules. And remember to always check for USDA compliance early and plan with the end in mind so that your menu meets all the meal pattern requirements and is easy to maintain throughout the year. And last, you want to treat your cycle menu like it's a strategic tool, not just a schedule. And remember that the cycle menu drives your business. All right, that's all for today. Thanks for watching.